What you are about to listen to contains mature content, explicit language, bad jokes, and may not be suitable for persons under the age of 17. Listener discretion is advised.
You! Alrighty. What is up, everybody?
Will you two knock it the fuck off?
My cat's rustling around, apparently. That's what's up.
What's up?
That's what's up.
What's up?
What's going on the Gas Podcast, listeners? I am Andrew, and here with me, Ty, as always. Audio sync.
Audio sync to what? We're not filming this one.
I know.
Gotta get there. Sorry.
You need to go change?
God damn.
Okay.
What an exciting race. Not really.
So, we anticipated something a little more exciting than what actually happened. So, between Rockfin and Barsha, that was a pretty good race.
Yeah, the two guys out of the entire lineup made a good race.
And as stacked as the field is, surprises me to no end.
Well, they were all stacked on the bottom.
Yes. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, like, most of the people that we called to do really good in the opener.
Barsha and Roxon, they were the only two up there. And we named, what, 8, 5, 6?
Yeah.
I just started random numbers.
I'd say we picked probably like 6 people. And Tomac, Osborne, Anderson, they were...
Oh, poor Tomac.
Yeah, they were 3 of them. And and Tomac outside the top 10.
Most of them were.
Yeah.
I mean, who all was in the top 5?
The top 5.
It was Roxon. Oh,
Barsha,
Roxon,
Marvin Muskin.
Muskin. He was in third.
And then Adam Cianciarulo in 4th, and then Malcolm Stewart in 5th.
Which came out of fucking nowhere.
I mean,
I was not expecting that one at all.
I knew he was going to do well, but I didn't think top 5. I thought top 10 maybe, but then behind him, Justin Brayton. Justin Brayton got a really, really good start until I think he just kind of faded away a little bit. Then Dylan Ferrandy's in 7th. That doesn't really surprise me either. He was quite the force to be reckoned with in the 250s. Then Plessinger behind him. Then Cooper Webb in 9th.
Oh, did Cooper? I must have missed it when he actually broke the top 10.
Yeah, I think it was a little later in the race.
Must have been after Tomac's second crash.
I think so. Then Zach Osborne in 10th. So he at least broke top 10, but I expected...
out of the top 5 guys we named, only 2 of them were in the top 5.
Yeah. And I don't want to say I expected him to do better, like I'm his fucking dad or something, but which would be weird because Zach Osborne's older than me. But
I mean, you can be anybody's daddy if you try hard enough.
If I try hard enough, but damn. I don't think I'm up to Zach's standards.
You never know until you try.
Yeah, I shouldn't say I expected it, but I anticipated him doing a little better. I thought he would have like a newfound confidence with winning the very last race of last year and fresh off his 450 outdoor title as well. Then, like we mentioned, Tomac in 13th, and then Chase Sexton behind him in 14th, and then Jason Anderson in 15th. I'm kind of on the fence about that, whether I'm surprised or not, because he is a past champion as well. He won in 2018, and then, and hasn't really made any real heavy-hitting moves since then. I think he's won a couple races since then, but that's about it.
Yeah. Speaking of anticipation, though, that 3D rendering of the track was so decisive to what we actually got.
Yeah.
They made those jumps look way taller than they actually ended up being, and I was very disappointed in that.
The 3D rendering was a little deceiving in some spots. The last episode, we brought up a map of the track, and we were looking at this triple right before the straight that goes across the starting line. And in the rendering, it looked like a full-on triple. I mean, I could have not looked at enough renderings before to to know the difference there, but I definitely have. I've seen plenty of those things, and the outcome is usually pretty similar to what they mapped out. But this time, a lot of them just they weren't as big in real life as they appeared on the drawing.
Yeah, I mean, in real life, like obviously 3D renderings are never going to be 100% accurate, but they could have at least gotten the jump heights to the same, like somewhere in the same area. Because that 3D rendering, that made those jumps look twice as tall as they were, at least.
And like, cause we said in the last episode, like what did we say? We were like, everybody's going to take the inside on that and just seat bounce the first one, then double out. But almost the total opposite happened. Everybody
they rolled over that first one and then just I mean, they were small enough that I don't even know if you could call that a double.
They were more or less just big rollers, in my opinion.
Yeah, the whole track was glorified whoops. Damn it, Ricky, you did get your input in there. Big-eared bastard. Much love, Ricky.
Much love, Go.
But you are a weird-looking dude. I can say that, though. I'm also a weird-looking dude. Not that any of you know.
Oh, man. So, that picture of Ken Roxon and Eli Tomac on the private jet together with their kids, that was that was something I didn't really expect to see, I'll say, because those guys have been rivals for like 10 years now, at least.
Yeah, but you always get those kind of relationships where you're one thing one place and then something else somewhere else. Like me and my coworkers, like I get along with all my coworkers at work. Some of them I won't even talk to outside of work, though.
Yeah.
And some of them I'm more friends outside of work than I am with at work.
Yeah, I feel that too. It's like now that they're both older, they're both in their late 20s, and they got kids now. They're it seems to me like they're kind of squashing the beef. They're just like, we're both pretty successful in this. Like there's no reason to be, pissy little kids to each other anymore.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's also a mutual respect thing. Like, when Marc Marquez first showed up on the MotoGP scene, like, the big name out there was Valentino Rossi. And so he was like, well, I'm multi-champion, you're a new kid, fuck you. But now you can actually see that even with Marc Marquez still being super young, I think he's only 23, 24. He, even Rossi has a mutual respect with him. You may not see him posting pictures on Instagram of them at the bar after a race, but when it comes to being on the track and all that, they're definitely civil. Yeah. Definitely pictures of them together.
They're cordial with each other.
Yeah, that word.
They'll be seen with each other.
Yeah, and
not make a fit about it.
But Marquez has proven himself over the years that he's not just some kid coming up. Barsha, I'm talking to you.
But Barsha's a little past that point too.
Thank God. I mean, he, like I said last week, he brought excitement to the races, being a little more aggressive and all that. But he did not have a lot of respect in the beginning when it came to other people respecting him.
Yeah, he was a little over aggressive for a lot of people, and a lot of people didn't like him for being that way right off the bat. So I feel like you got to kind of grow into that a little bit, get comfortable with your competition a little bit first, and then start banging bars with them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, him coming up, though, like, you see a lot of riders riding more aggressively now.
Yeah.
And that was one of the downfalls of Tomac this week. We'll get into more of that later. But.
Yeah. So on the topic of pictures, there's another pretty surprising picture on Instagram. It was Chad Reed and James Stewart out hitting 18 holes together.
And then going to play golf.
Oh, you caught me off guard there.
That is such an old joke in my library, though.
No, but still. I was going to be like, I just said that, you dumb fuck.
Well, I am a dumb fuck, so you don't have to apologize for that part.
Yeah, I just wasn't expecting it. Yeah, that's another thing I really didn't think I would ever see is James Stewart and Chad Reed hanging out, because those guys through late 2000s and early 2010s were just like sworn enemies. So
Yeah, but was that an actual thing, or was it just what the cameras wanted you to see?
no, they really didn't like each other for a while, and it showed on the track. Especially like I forget which round it was, but a long time ago, Stewart did some dirty towards Reed, and after the race was over, he came up next to him, and like you could tell he was like yelling at him. He like put his hand on the back of his throat and shit, was just like butting his helmet into his
back
and all
of his
that.
throat?
Yeah,
That's dangerous. You got to go through the spine and all the muscle. In the back of his throat, you're on the inside of his neck.
the back of his neck. Sorry, excuse my poor grammar.
What's wrong with your grandma?
Nothing, as far as I know. Thank God. What else? No Ralph Shaheen. The main announcer. He's been the announcer for Supercross for like 15 years, and yeah, it kind of felt weird watching the race without him. I mean, they had this same British guy that they got to. I forget his name, but they got this same guy before. Yeah, so last year, for the first couple of rounds, they got this same dude who's apparently announcing it full time now, I'm assuming, since Ralph is gone. And I don't know, it just didn't feel the same. Like, Ralph brought a lot of the way he announces, he's pretty energetic, and his voice is so iconic at this point. Everybody just knows they hear Ralph Shaheen's voice, it's something Supercross related now. And without that, to me, it's missing some of the hype now. Like, when it comes to announcements.
Yeah. It's like if you got somebody else besides what's his name that does the Welcome to Monster Supercross.
Yeah. I forgot what his name was, but God damn it, dude. I forgot what his name was, but yeah. If you were to go to Supercross now and not have that introduction, and it was just some regular guy going, "Welcome to Supercross," like, the fuck is that?
Right. Well, it's the same thing if they got somebody else to do, because it's the same guy that does Monster Jam.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find his name.
I think he's been doing Monster Jam longer than Supercross, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
I can't find his name, but he is a guy. He's a guy done the Supercross, like the monster announcer.
Mm-hmm.
He's done.
Yeah, Monster Jam.
Yeah, and he works for some radio company out in Wisconsin. Wisconsin.
Yeah, and I heard he does freelance work for a relatively good price.
Yep.
So we should get him to do our intro someday.
I would like to.
Yeah, that'd be rad.
He also announces Packer games. Found that out.
Does he really?
Mm-hmm. It's not a football podcast. We don't talk about football.
But let's talk a little bit about the 250 main event. It seemed pretty like just business as usual to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything super exciting, but like RJ Hampshire, he was on the podium until like the last 20 seconds of the race. Last 20 seconds, then one more lap, which that's disappointing for him.
Yeah, there was a big difference from the 450 main event and the 250 main event. Because the 250 main event, like you said, was business as usual. Anybody could have won at any point.
Mm-hmm.
But then for the 450, they got Roxon and Barsha got so far out ahead that 20 seconds was unreachable.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the furthest they were like 16 and a half seconds ahead of third place.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. And another crazy thing about that, Marvin Muskin was the one behind them.
Yeah.
And he hasn't raced Supercross in a couple of years now. Like he just came out swinging. Apparently, I didn't anticipate him getting a podium spot. I thought maybe top 10, top 5, stretching it, but yeah, he just came out swinging and got on the podium.
Yeah.
And then also in the 250 main, Jet Lawrence, he fell on the last lap, which that sucked for him.
Sucks for you, bitch.
Sucks for you, mate. Aussie kid. Yeah, which sucks for him. I had high hopes for him. I'm talking like the series is over. Like there's
Well, that's it, folks. Series wrapped up. We know who won.
one Houston round. That's all you get.
Barsha takes it for gas.
Christian Craig gets his first ever 250 championship.
Screw the West Coast races, too.
Yeah, fuck them. Shouldn't say that. We're on the West Coast, but
Speaking of which, though, so that was an East Coast race for the 250s.
Mhm.
So is next week going to be the East or the West Coast, or they still haven't really explained how that's working?
no, they always do one first and then the other for the second half of the series. They do a set amount of rounds first for one coast, and then the rest of them for the rest of the rounds, and then usually have a East-West Coast shootout in Vegas at the very end of the series, but that's obviously not happening. So
it's probably still going to happen,
Yeah.
just in Salt Lake.
yeah, they're still having an East-West Coast shootout, but it is no Vegas, which fucking blows. But
Is the new Raiders Stadium open yet? Or are they still building it?
I think the building itself is done, but they haven't opened it yet. I think. Don't quote me on that. But
Well, it's probably a good thing if it's not open yet, because that would suck for them to rush to get the stadium done and then Supercross Championship not even happen there.
yeah. Which, I mean, that's not what they were building the stadium for, so they probably don't really care about that. But just forgot something.
But and then back on that with them waiting halfway through the series. So only the East Coast team or riders are going to be able to do Houston. That's what I mean. That's
Damn.
the way they have the schedule laid out. That means the East Coast guys are going to be riding completely separate locations than the West Coast guys are.
Mm-hmm.
When normally they kind of go back to some of the bigger places twice.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why they go to Anaheim twice.
Mm-hmm.
They have Anaheim in the beginning of the season, and they go through halfway, and then have Anaheim 2, which is where they introduce the West Coast team, or the West Coast riders.
Mm-hmm.
Keep saying teams, still stuck in the football thing. I mean, I guess you could say teams.
Yeah, I mean it's teams, but with this between East and West Coast, I think they would consider that division. They're divisions, plural. So another thing in 250 main event, Max Volhan, it's the son of former Supercross racer Talon Volhan from back in the 90s. This was his first ever pro Supercross race and actually did very good. He broke top 10, finished 9th. So very, very good for him.
But when I finish in 9, I'm a disappointment.
Yeah. For those who don't know, I just stared directly at him.
I don't know if it was supposed to be intimidating or seductive. Either way, I'm aroused.
Neither. Disappointment.
Oh, disappointing boner.
So Monster held the entire top 3 of the 250 main event. It was Christian Craig on Star Racing Yamaha, and then Austin Faulkner on Monster Pro Circuit Kawasaki. Then third was Cole Nichols, who is also on Star Racing Yamaha. All 3 are teams that have a Monster sponsorship.
It's rigged!
It's absolutely rigged. Monster paid.
They're putting Nos on the bike like everybody accused Villapoto. I still don't know where I heard that rumor from, but it was an actual rumor I heard from somebody. Like, I'm not just making it up. Somebody told me that. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know where that dude got his info, but
How would you hide a bottle of NOS on a bike?
you couldn't.
You shove it up your butt?
I guess.
But then they would notice the tube coming out.
So what good would it do to hide it?
I'm not hiding any tube. I'm just hung like a horse.
That's impossible. Ryan Villapota is a ginger, but I'm sorry, Ryan. If you ever listen to this, we love you.
Well, your brother's cooler, but
yeah, but and then
potato, tomato, you know.
Yeah. Then
they're different, but they sound the same. Oh, they haven't even really started drinking yet.
Then Christian Craig's emotional podium speech after he won that main event.
Oh, you paid attention to that?
I mean, I didn't listen to the words he said, but
I assumed it was emotional. It's like anybody saying they watched the presidential debates. Like, I assumed it had something to do with politics.
I mean, I could just I could see the little twinkles in his eyes. So,
Tweakles?
Yeah, so he was getting emotional.
I can see all the tweakers in his eyes. I mean, it is Houston. Oh, we're getting so far off track here.
I know. It's fine. I mean, I can understand why I got emotional, though, because it had been since, like, 2016 since he won a race. So, and on the opener of all nights, that's when he finally put all the naysayers to rest. So, I knew he could do it. He just could never bring it to fruition, and something with this new bike and the new team, it just worked really well for him. So, happy to see him do that. Then, also wanted to talk about the fans situation and the limited seating.
The limited seating to promote social distancing, yet all the audience was clumped together in different spots.
Yeah, that was one thing I noticed too. They had the limited admission. You could tell because there was like an eighth of the people that would be there normally,
if that.
But
I mean, that whole nosebleed section was completely empty too.
Yeah, they only sold tickets in like the front row and midsection. It seems like. Then the people that were there, like you said, they were all right next to each other. If they're that concerned about people like spreading the virus, that smaller group of people can do it just as easily as a packed stadium.
Yeah,
like that didn't make any sense to me. Like they didn't stagger the seating or anything like that. Like everybody was all like right next to each other who was actually there at the race. So,
and the thing is, those were all shitty seats too.
Mm-hmm.
They were in the corners where you couldn't see anything. I mean, like the only good thing about those seats is they were right next to the exit hallways.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, piss poor view.
Which is fine when I'm like 6 beers deep and I gotta pee every 10 minutes.
Oh man, I have a story about that.
Mm.
Having to pee at Supercross.
Do tell.
I was stoned out of my mind. So, I don't smoke anymore. This was back when I was 13, 14. Which makes it so much better.
Weren't you with your dad, too?
Yeah, I was with my dad. And he was helping me get THC products to help my sleep.
Okay.
So we get to the race, and he hands me this edible. He's like, all right, just take a couple bites, you'll be good for the night. I'm like, okay. Eat half of it. And it was hockey puck size. And it was like a gummy candy. So I ate half of it. And then, so we get past the 250 motos, going in the 250 main event. And I'm like, I'm not feeling it. Like, I'm gonna eat the whole thing. So I eat the whole thing. And so when I was smoking, every time I would get stoned, for some reason I always felt like I was about to piss my pants. Even if I went to the bathroom, nothing came out. Still felt like I was about to piss my pants. So we get to the 450 motos. At this point, the whole edible is kicked in. I'm fucking gone. I'm with their, not just with my dad, but with my grandpa too, who is against smoking. Like anything that has to do with drugs. So I'm like, I gotta go. Just to be safe. Didn't want to piss myself. So I go to the bathroom. Wait through a 20-minute line to not have to go. So I go to go back to my seat after I didn't go. And I get to a spot, which I'm like, I'm pretty sure my seat's here. But I think I'm in the wrong spot. So I start walking back down the stairs to go back to the hallway. Next thing I know, my grandpa is like, over here! I was in the right spot. I got lost going to the right spot.
Oh, man.
It's a little
Only you would do that. I'm sorry.
It can't be only me. But the thing is, like, so situations like that doesn't just happen to me when I'm stoned. When I went and saw Nitro Circus, I got hammered and had the same problem. And Nitro Circus had a third of the crowd.
No, maybe it's just like something just chemically in your brain. It's just weird.
Well, we already knew that. I mean, I am epileptic.
Yeah, well. What else?
There's a personal story for the episode.
So for 450 main event, Justin Barcia out front early and
kept it the whole fucking time.
Yeah, and did not move from that spot.
No, I'm surprised he didn't get tired out because he rode the entire race aggressively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got to the top spot and like I said, he didn't move from it despite all of Roxon's efforts. He just couldn't make the pass. Couldn't get it done.
And with that, like even Roxon, like he spent most of the race not even trying to pass, just trying to keep Barcia in that aggressive state to tire himself out. But that never happened.
That's kind of what I was going for, or when we were like talking about it during the race. I was just like, I have a feeling Roxon's just kind of
playing cat and mouse, pretty much.
Yeah, he's just like tailgating him, hoping that he'll tire himself out. But because Roxon's probably played that game with him before, and it probably worked before. But it looks like Barcia's been working on his stamina the entire offseason because he was able to ride absolutely 100% aggressively the entire time.
Yeah, and he had no mess ups at all.
No,
he had that one close call. I think it was on like lap 3 or 4 when he landed and his back tire kind of wobbled a little bit. Mm-hmm. But he pulled out of that with no problem, and it was clean for the rest of the race.
Yeah, he rode almost flawlessly.
Yeah,
it was insane.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, honestly, I would say that too.
He better be on the next cover of the Supercross game.
Yeah, I think they kind of based that off whoever's the champion. I think because the second one had a Jason Anderson on it, so which he got the championship off the year they were basing that one off of. So
yeah, I never played the second one. I just went from the first to the third.
Second one wasn't that good.
I think that's why I ended up not getting it. It's because you told me it wasn't that good.
I kind of miss
MX versus ATV.
I miss Reflex when they still had online servers for that, but
that was the last good MX versus ATV.
Alive was pretty good too in its own way.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Alive was more linear though.
Yeah, it was.
But Untamed, perfect.
Untamed was a masterpiece.
But you go back to playing those games after playing like Supercross and then MXGP. Mm-hmm. You go back to those more arcadey games. It's like trying to go back from playing Skate back to Tony Hawk.
Yeah,
you have to go through a reverse learning curve that's so much harder than upgrading in the first place.
Yeah, that's a pretty accurate assessment of that.
Next victory lap, we're going to talk about all the riding video games.
I like it.
We'll do it.
Awesome. Cool. Another one that surprised me a lot was Cooper Webb.
Yeah, I mean, he sat in the back of the pack for 90% of the race, and then that second time that Tomac went down, that's when he was able to actually start moving up the ranks.
And he was in 10th for quite a while. I remember that. And then he got around Zach Osborne towards the end and ended up in 9th for the night. I mean, I've never been a Cooper Webb fan, but
from going back to being one of the people in last place, to at least breaking the top 10 is a feat in itself.
Yeah, it really is. But
I mean, I don't think if Tomac went down that second time, I don't think he could have, but he did. So,
yeah, being a past champion and just how dominant he was the year he got his championship. And then last year, he still had a little bit of that fire, and like obviously Tomac edged him out, but he was pretty close. He could have done it if there was like 2 more races, and he won both of them. But this race, he just wasn't aggressive. He got a bad start, and then just didn't really move up from the field at all after that.
Yeah, and that kind of happened across the board. A lot of guys, they. Even if they did finish top 10, like, they still started out pretty, I don't want to say weak, because it's not necessarily weak, they just had bad starts. And then it seems like after a couple laps, they just all gave up.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tomac, like, he went down that second time, and he never gained more places.
Yeah.
If anything, he fell back even more.
He kind of just dropped the anchor, and that was that. He was just done.
I think at that point his main goal was to just stop other people from passing him and just hold on to the position he had instead of risking another crash, because both of his crashes were because he was trying to get risky to move up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he was like, you know what, like, I've already failed twice, let me just sit where I'm comfortable and just hold on to the points that I can get instead of losing more.
And I sound like a broken record when I say this, but reason that like the top 5 and the top 10 is going to be probably pretty random this year is the field is like more stacked than it's ever been before. And the reason being is nobody's retiring.
Yeah.
Everybody's staying in the game. So now at this point, looking at all 22 riders that were in this race, there isn't a single name on there that isn't well known in the sport anymore.
Yeah, I mean, all the younger guys are being held down in the 250s for that reason, because nobody's retiring. Yep. Who was the last person to retire? Dungey? Reed. Reed was the last person to retire.
Yeah, the last like heavy hitter to retire. Yeah, it was Reed.
Oh man, that video of him retiring. Like,
I know.
Fucking pulling on my heartstrings, man.
I know. He's like getting all emotional. I'm just like, no, you're supposed to be the strong one here.
Right? You're supposed to hold me. But shit, like,
even Dungy's retirement announcement was emotional, and he wasn't even really getting emotional.
No, I mean, you always see that, like, I remember crying when, or not really crying, I wasn't like bawling my eyes out, but I got teary-eyed when Ray Lewis retired after that Super Bowl win. Because he's the reason why I started playing football to begin with, and why I was a Ravens fan. And it was like, like he's the reason why I became a linebacker and played linebacker for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he retired, man, I was... It's like if Spider-Man just retired one day.
Oh, then New York would be fucked.
Yeah. And, everybody would be all...
They'd be crying in fear, not because they're sad.
Right? Or it's like the funeral from the Spider-Verse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Great movie. Unrelated to our podcast, but that's a great fucking movie.
Entirely unrelated topic, but yes, that was a fabulous movie.
Fabulous.
If you like Spider-Man, you'll like that if you haven't seen it. Then,
if you like Post Malone, you should see it.
Yeah, if you like Post Malone and Swain Lee, you'll love Sunflower. It's a great song.
It's a really fucked up song for what they used it for, but
Yeah.
Back on track.
It's like we're doing a motocross podcast and we're talking Spider-Man and Post Malone. Like everybody on YouTube has probably clicked on something else by now. For those who stayed and just bared with us, thank you very much. You're the real OGs.
You're the guys that are going to be listening to the victory lap.
You're the MVPs.
Just don't retire on me. I can't cry again.
Oh my god.
Not strong enough. Fucking shut up, kitty.
So.
No, kitty. My turkey leg.
Now it's my backpack.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Sorry, I do a better Kenny impression.
Which? I was like, just cover your mouth and say gibberish. That's all you gotta do.
That's what I do half the time anyway.
Okay. back on track.
After 3 times saying it.
Yeah. So towards the end,
next scene
from like the mid to end of the 450 main, Roxon showed a wheel to Barsha in a couple corners and tried to make it happen. But,
he did try to make passes at the end. It just Barsha kept him out.
We're not trying to discredit him by saying he didn't get it done or whatever. He tried.
We were rooting for him.
Yes, we were, but. Because Ken Roxon's one of those guys. He's been in it for a really long time, and he's still yet to get a 450 championship. But to me, he's one of the most deserving of it at this point. With all the shit that he's gone through, all the injuries, all the illnesses, just the shit luck. It would be awesome if he could put something together this year and just blow everybody away.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 2017, that's when his really, really bad crash happened, where he just got sideways off of a big jump and just smacked into the ground and fucked his arm up. And it's a miracle that he's even riding in the first place now after that. So, let alone getting second place in a 450 Supercross main.
Okay, I won't say a miracle for, I guess, personal reasons, but there are so many parallel.
There are endless parallel universes.
There are paralyzed riders out there still riding to this day.
But none of them are racing Supercross, though. That's my point. Is that
yeah, but they are doing triple backflips in nitro circuits. So
yeah. Well,
I said, that's a personal opinion, but it's great he's back.
Yeah, it really is. I say miracle just as a figure of speech, but
well, I'm sorry, but there are too many real things to start making up figures of speech.
Okay, he's very lucky that he's still racing at the level he is.
There you go.
But yeah, I'd love to see that happen because he's very deserving of it at this point, in my opinion. And if he did get a 450 championship, he could retire very gracefully now. As in, like, he did it. He marked everything off his checklist here in the States and just either stay here or go back to Germany. But honestly, he'd probably, in my opinion, I think he would probably stay here because his family's here. He built a life here, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be that. I mean, I don't know who his wife is and all that, but
it's his trainer's sister.
Who? Because I was gonna say, like, Reed, his family was all in. I almost said Ireland. Australia.
And his now wife actually, like, took a chance and came with him over here to the States and in hopes that he'll make it big.
Yeah, he still shows up to a lot of local races out in Australia, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he likes to show his face around to the locals.
Fully, he'd come up to, like, Washougal or something.
Yeah. I've actually met quite a few people at Washougal, though. Like, back to the topic of Roxon, every time I've met him in person, that he is one of the nicest dudes I've ever met in my life. Like, and every single time I've talked to him, like, same exact just hey, how you doing? Just friendly dude.
Yeah.
Not in his head. Doesn't have an ego at all.
No, I mean, I've met Tomac, and then we both met the Villapoto brothers. Like,
because I grew up like a half hour away from him.
well, that's what. So did I.
Yeah.
I mean, we both grew up in the same area that they did.
Mm.
I mean, they were like an hour or two north,
Yeah,
where they actually lived, but they rode in the same area as we did.
Mm-hmm.
Because I met Tyler at the Bremerton Raceway.
Yeah. I met Tyler officially when I was working at the bike shop that I worked at in Bremerton, and he's just super chill dude. Like, not in his head or anything. Like, he doesn't use his family to like, get his way or anything like that. He's just like, yeah, I'm a Villapoto, no big deal.
Yeah, I mean, he never tried to live in his brother's shadow. Like, he broke out of that pretty quick, being his own rider and all that. It's like our old teacher, Mr. Urlacher, related to Brian Urlacher, middle linebacker for the Cubs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's his own person. Like, he's not like, oh, well, yeah, my cousin is in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like,
he's like, yeah, it is what it is. It's whatever.
I mean, I guess it kind of helps that he thinks that Brian was a complete douchebag, but
yeah. Yeah, he's not like flaunting his name around though. He's just like, yeah, it is what it is.
Apparently, he got that question almost every year though from freshmen. Are you related to Brian Urlacher?
Mm-hmm. I mean, not a very common name, so
yeah, right. It's like if you met somebody whose last name was Roxon, you'd be like, you gotta be right.
Yeah, or someone with the same last name as me. I'm just like, you're a distant relative from somewhere. You have to be.
Yeah, well, it's like my last name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say it, but it's a Italian last name, but even for Italians, it's not a common last name.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that everybody who has that last name is related somehow.
Yeah.
Whether it be like 10th cousin or something. We know we come from the same family tree. Because our last name wasn't like a birth name. It was an actual given name from the Catholics in Spain.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. That race between Barsha and Roxon, though, that was...
How beautiful. It was really the only good thing about that 450 main event.
It was the most exciting part, that's for sure.
Like I said, they were both 14 to 16 seconds ahead of everybody else.
Marvin Muscan, yeah. And again, surprises me quite a bit that this is Marvin's first race back in a couple of years, and he just killed it. Just came out swinging.
Yeah.
I guess just a lot of practice, I'm assuming. A lot of practice and practicing with the right people. That'll do it, too.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of those guys live in warmer states, so they can practice year-round.
Yeah.
Unlike here, like, yeah, we can go ride whenever we want, but it's like, how much mud do we want to be riding through?
Exactly. And California is the place you go to make a name for yourself in motocross.
Yeah.
So all the tracks are dry and prepped all the time. So being a great mud rider ain't going to do you any good down there. Right?
And like here, we're on day 3 of no rain, and that's the longest stretch in 3 months.
Yeah, it rained for like...
almost 2 months straight.
Yeah.
Like when I went out to Belfair yesterday, they were still recovering from mudslides.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad it was.
I'm surprised that hill on the Trails End Road hasn't slid out again.
It's starting to cave in.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I was going up it the other day, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm not on my bike. Because at the very top on that last corner, it's the entire hillside is starting to go down. Girder and everything. Well, it doesn't help that all they do is keep filling in the holes instead of actually fixing the road.
Yeah, they need to figure something out on that. Zach Osborne and Adam Cianciarulo. Cianciarulo, I'm impressed with his finish. He's been kind of my wild card pick a lot of the times. Hasn't done a whole lot in his 450 career yet. Granted, this is only his second year on them, but still, not a whole lot. not a whole lot to talk about there. Zach Osborne, though, like I said, that surprised me a little bit where he finished, coming off a 450 outdoor title and winning the last round in Supercross last year. I thought he would have a little more fire than that, but
I mean, I give part of the weird results up to, I would say, poor track design. Because like we said in the beginning, like a lot of those jumps, 90% of those jumps were a lot smaller than we thought they were going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was really no challenge to that track compared to what they're used to.
Yeah.
The biggest jump was a rollover. So, I mean, even the slowest guys were going hella fast through it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there were a couple like decent sized triples, but nothing like insane.
From what I saw, it was only the finish line jumps. But those are meant to be big.
Yeah.
Those are big, spectacular photo finish.
Yeah. I don't mean big like long. I mean big like high.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of weird to me that Osborne didn't seem to have a whole lot of fire in him, but him and Tomac have proven in the past they take a little while throughout the season to cook up. They got to find their groove, find their mojo, and then once they do that, they take off.
Yeah, and that's the thing about like the 450s versus the 250s is within the 450 group you have that time to start gaining momentum because you have the whole season.
Yeah.
Whereas the 250s they only have half the season.
Yeah.
So they can't have that slow pace build up. They have to be on top of it from the beginning.
And they're all also young and hungry. They got a lot to prove if they want to keep the ride and all that.
Yeah.
Whereas the 450 guys, they've already proven themselves and they're a lot safer when it comes to getting dropped.
Yeah, they definitely have a less chance to get dropped just because they have a bad season.
Yeah, and also because they're signed to longer contracts. Usually, they're signed for a lot more money.
So. Yeah, most like the non-factory riders, I know they're year-by-year basis.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have one bad season, they're cut.
Like the satellite teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why Reed started going independent and just racing on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, for a couple years, he was having bad seasons. And, I mean, you can't discount Reed, one of the greatest riders of all time. No matter how many championships he's won, like, his name will always be remembered in the sport. But even him, after a couple bad seasons, got dropped by his teams.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a safer bet for him to ride, solo.
And only 2 Supercross titles to his credit, but there are other guys who have only 2 Supercross titles that a lot of people have already forgotten about.
Yeah.
But everybody will always remember Chad Reed.
Reed is such a nice guy, though. I mean, just as a person, not even as a rider, like, that's a reason to be remembered by.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I think Roxon will go down
in the same boat.
Yeah, being known the way he is, because he's just such a cool guy.
Yeah.
So, and he'll go down Roxon will go down as a warrior. Like, he's been through so much shit. He's been through the ringer.
I mean, just over the last
prevails.
Just over the last few years, though, think about how much less they're talking about just Villapoto alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he'll probably go down as the best Supercross rider ever for just pure championships.
Jeremy McGrath. So 72 wins. Nobody will match that.
Okay, well, different time period, different racing styles. But you know what I'm getting at.
He'll be...
How often do they talk about McGrath during the season? Not very often.
It comes up every now and then, but
so does Villapoto. But what I'm saying is, Reed, people talk about him all the time in the Supercross world.
See, he's more recent, though, too. He was just racing a year ago, whereas Villapoto hasn't raced Supercross since 2014, 15, and then McGrath retired in, 2007.
But yeah, not just on racing skill, though. Reed also has the oldest rider in Supercross.
That, too. He has Reed is very much a personality.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Like, he will be remembered longer than McGrath, or Villapoto.
McGrath, I don't know. But Villapoto,
I mean, McGrath will always be Mr. Supercross. He'll never be forgotten.
He'll always be Showtime.
But, I mean, I still think Reed's name will outlive Villapoto's.
Maybe. I think it was more... I don't think Villapoto is being remembered quite as much as Reed will be, just because of the exit that Villapoto made. Because he literally just, like, disappeared for a while and has just recently came back to the spotlight, racing, like, the 125 Dream Race and all that at the Nationals until, like, a couple years ago.
He's working hard to keep his name relevant.
Well...
And this is coming from an ex-Villapoto fan that I'm saying all this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he needs money. He has plenty of money. So, another thing, Justin Barcia, he's the first one to do a three-peat opening round victory since Jeremy McGrath.
And surprisingly, it wasn't at Anaheim. I mean, that's what everybody was saying, that the only reason he would win is if it was at Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
But this race disproved that. It doesn't matter where he's starting. He's just a strong starter.
Yeah, he's just a first-round guy. The energy from the crowd, the excitement of being back, being fresh out of just training every single day, it just all comes together for him in the first round.
Yeah.
But with this new team and new bike that he is in love with, he loves the new gas. We'll see if
it's a cheap KTM. What's not to like about it?
Yeah, but with the new team and the new bike, we'll see if he can make something happen for the entire series.
I mean, I'm excited to see what not just Barcia, but the whole Gas team can do in general. Because in the 250s, Gas wasn't even in the top 5.
I think Michael Mosman was.
Top 10. I don't think he was top 5 though.
Let me check real quick.
Because I think he went down on like the last couple laps.
Michael Mosman was in 7th.
Yeah,
he finished 7th, so he was top 10 at least.
Yeah, top 10 at least. But I mean, bringing in that debut win for Gas in the 450s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was huge. Something.
Yeah, that was huge. That'll be great for their sales.
Oh yeah.
So,
and like I said, it's just cheap KTM.
So, whether it's cheap or not, it's just more money. And
$5, say the prices on them skyrocket though.
Yep.
Just like Husky.
Same thing happened to Husqvarna. Yep. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe it'll do a complete 180 on how it was supposed to be on the initial purchase.
Yeah, and I mean, Huskies are closer to KTM than Gas is.
Mm-hmm. Well, but besides like their subframe and a couple other small knickknacks that are different on them.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is Gas is more different from KTM than Husky is.
Yeah.
I mean, they all got the same motor.
But. Yeah, the engines are almost identical. The two key differences I know on the KTM and Husqvarna is the composite subframe instead of aluminum, and the airbox on the Husky is different than the KTM.
Yeah. Those are really the only two differences.
Yeah,
parts are interchangeable internally.
Those to me are really like the only real like notable differences. So,
but the airbox being a difference isn't a huge deal.
I mean,
the only difference is your air filter is going to be different.
Yeah, I think the filters are the same. Are
the same? Okay, Mike Tyson.
I think the air filters are the same, but no, I think the filters are the same. I think the airbox, the way it goes into the throttle body, is just shaped a little differently. I think I haven't actually looked at them side by side myself. So
yeah, and we only have a Husky in the garage. We don't have a KTM.
Yes, a Husky 2-stroke at that. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about predictions for next week. Once again in Houston, different track layout. There is a sand section this week.
That'll probably shake things up a little bit as opposed to this past race that we all tuned in on.
because all you fucking boomers out there were complaining about Houston round 1 not having a sand section. They brought it back. I fucking hate sand sections. They need to be gone. You can brag about sand sections while you throw around your Colt 45 1911. I don't give a fuck. There are new things in the world. Get over it. Sand sections are stupid. There's no point. And scene.
Marvelous.
Marvelous, darling. Marvelous.
Yeah, I mean, I know the reason they put them there. It's to try and shake things up a little bit.
But have you seen the layout for the Houston round 2? It's only one corner.
Yes, I have. And
it's one corner. It's not even a section.
But on the flip side, we're also talking about how uneventful this past race was just now.
Only because the jumps weren't as big as they made it seem like they were going to be.
That, and there was no sand section.
Sand section.
There was nothing to slow anybody down, though. That's the thing with them.
Get rid of whoops and replace it with a rhythm section. That's how you slow people down. Fuck whoops. Fuck sand section.
Well, while we're on the topic of whoops, can we all agree that they're
archaic and unneeded.
They're not obstacles anymore.
No. I'm sorry, Ricky Carmichael, but an entire track does not need to be whoops.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. fucking Whoop Master over there, but
fucking boomers need to get out of the sport.
I know why Ricky was so good in them. He had a Nike air soles in his boots. Pump it up, air it out.
Oh, fucking cheater, just like fucking Villapoto putting NOS in his bike.
But to me, whoops nowadays, like back in like the 80s, they were considered obstacles, and nowadays they're not. Everybody just flows right the fuck through them, or just doubles through them.
Well, and especially with the new front suspension, it has no impact on the riding. Mm. You watch,
especially Yamaha guys in that KYB setup.
Yeah, you watch Roxon and Barsha. They rode like that whoop section wasn't even there.
Mm-hmm. There were some guys that looked like they were doing a wheel tap in a section through the whole thing. They were wheeling through it.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like, I don't know where we're going. Continue.
Yeah, that's our thoughts on whoops, if anybody was curious.
And boomers in general, and sand sections, and fuck y'all you. I'm just kidding, I love you. The people that listen.
Just hang your dang cowboy hat back up and just admit whoops ain't needed no more.
And there are better things than a Colt 45. 1911.
Much better things.
It's all about the stuff now! Fuck the pistol I want. It's a tiny ass round.
Okay, stopping power. I guess you can only hit once out of every 8 bullets that you shoot.
Right? The pistol I want, fuck, the caliber on it's so small. It's the size of a .22, but it's an armor penetrating round.
Mm-hmm.
And you can carry more than 8 in the fucking magazine.
Mm-hmm. Getting off track again. But anyway.
Just like fucking Tomac. So, predictions for next week with the new track.
Okay, with the new track. I think Tomac just chalked up this past race as just an L, and he just kind of gave up. I think next week he'll be a little more prepared. I think he just kind of underestimated his competition a little bit. I think that might have played into it.
So. Or overestimated the new 2021 KX. That could have been a problem.
Yeah, so I think he'll... Because now he has something to prove. A lot of people are accusing him of just not caring now and just kind of being a slouch, but...
Being a slouch, yeah. Oh, he's only won 1 Supercross title. Yeah, but look at his outdoors, too.
Okay. Dude has 4.
Yeah.
How many outdoor titles do you have, Ricky? Not Ricky. Bobby.
Ricky Bobby?
Ricky Bobby.
I don't think he has any outdoor titles. I think he was a NASCAR driver.
I try and just come up with a random name. And
you came up
I spout off Ricky. Ricky Carmichael, one of the greatest racers of all time. Yeah.
Yeah, Ricky Carmichael, how many titles do you have, Mr. One of the greatest of all time?
They'll be like, well, if you want to walk into my trophy room,
Look at my bank account. It's like, okay.
if you want to walk into my office that's dedicated to all of my trophies.
Yeah, well, you can fly away in the wind with your big ass ears. All of our insults are in fun.
They're all absolutely in fun.
I expect everybody to make them about us too.
Yeah, I anticipate that, but it's all in good fun, Ricky. Like, please don't cancel us.
Don't sue us. We don't have money.
We don't have anything to give you.
That's why we're recording this on Audacity, which is free to use. I'm still waiting for that second stimulus check to pay rent.
We're just two normal guys that like motorcycles.
Let's get back on our prediction for next week.
That's all it is. We're just two guys that love motorcycles.
But can barely afford them.
No shit, I have a fucking 03 RM125.
Well, I don't have a dirt bike. And my street bike is an 07 650R.
You had a dirt bike.
Shut up.
If you want to hear that story, tune in on Victory Lap.
Last Victory Lap is when we talked about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, predictions for 450s next week.
Top 5.
We can throw 250s in there too.
I don't know much about the 250, so I'll just give my 450 prediction.
Okay.
Top 5. First place, Roxon. Second place, Barsha. Third, Webb. Fourth, Tomac. Fifth, Osborne.
Okay, that's solid. First place I'm kind of torn about. I think it'll either be...
It's still in Houston, so it's probably going to be Roxon or Barsha.
So I think Roxon's gonna pull something off. I think he studied Barsha's riding style enough to where he'll know where to make a move, and we covered this in the last podcast, but like you can only change the track so much week to week, so it's going to be fairly the same. So those two, they're going to battle it out again, I think. But this time, I think Roxon's not going to hold back. He's going to say, "I want that dub." So,
I mean, with Cooper Webb, Osborne, and Tomac,
all heavy hitters.
They were all in the back because they had a bad start. I mean,
bad starts and crashes.
Yeah, well, even with the crashes, I mean, the furthest Tomac got up was 6th place.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had his first crash, went all the way back to 9th, either 9th or 8th, and then his second one solidified him at even further back.
Dude, Barsha and Roxon almost lapped Tomac.
I know.
They were on the last corner.
They almost lapped half the fucking lineup.
Almost lapped the champion from last year.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
He was only a couple seconds away from being a lap down.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
I think that's the reason why he stayed where he was at, is he was just trying not to get lapped.
I think so too. So my predictions: Roxon, Tomac, Barsha. I'm not going to count out Malcolm Stewart. I'm going to say Malcolm Stewart 4th, and then
I think he got lucky.
Maybe, but he's looked pretty good. And then I'll say Adam Cianciarulo for 5th.
Cirillo?
Yeah. He came in 4th the last race, and not like I said, he wasn't aggressive, but he was consistent. So I'm kind of banking on that consistency right there for either a 4th or a 5th position. That's what I say for him. But I think, because Malcolm finished really good too, I think Malcolm will do it again.
All right, so give your 250 East predictions for round 2.
Okay, so Christian Craig got out front, nobody could touch him. He has a lot of newfound confidence with this new bike and new team that he was missing before on a FC Geico Honda. Rest in peace. So I have a strong feeling that he could probably do it again next week, considering what we said about Roxon and Barcia that it's basically the same track with a few tweaks. So he could do it again. I'm also not counting out Forkner. Forkner looked really strong as well. I have a lot of faith in Jet Lawrence. He showed a lot of talent last year because there was a race where he ran in first place the entire thing up until Dylan Ferrandis came up on him. That Ferrandis didn't take him out; he took Craig out earlier, but he got around. Let's cut this. He got around Lawrence, but shortly after Lawrence just fell, and that was his own fault. But he led the entire race up until that moment, and I'm pretty sure it was the last lap where he crashed. So my top 5, I'm going to say for 250s, I'm going to say I'm so torn between Craig and Forkner on first and second, but I'm going to say Craig's going to repeat it. First place, Forkner second. I'm going to say Jet Lawrence is going to put it together and come in third. And then fifth, I'm going to say RJ Hampshire, and then, or that'd be fourth, sorry. And then fifth, I would say Michael Mosman. Max Volhin, he's really good. He's definitely a young talent coming up, but that was his first ever Supercross race. It's probably going to take him a season or two to be a front runner. So, I don't want to discredit him, but that's just the way it is in pro racing. So,
all right. Well, you heard it here first. That's going to be the outcome for next week.
Too bad I'm not playing Fantasy Supercross.
You were just bitching about that the other night.
I know. I got fucked every single time I played that. So it's hard to you're gonna not like someone enough, but it's really hard to just deny talent and skill.
Yeah.
So
all right, guys. Well, that's where we're gonna leave this episode of On the Gas podcast. Tune in to our Victory Lap podcast to just hear us ramble on. This week it's going to be all the MX versus ATV, ride,
MXGP, Supercross, all that good stuff.
That's what we'll be bullshitting about and getting drunk while talking about it.
Really hope to see you guys there.
All right.
Thank you for watching the On the Gas podcast. Please tune into the Victory Lap for fun stories. Please like and subscribe. For more moto content, subscribe to Northwest Ninja. Thank you. I love you. Goodbye.